Welcome to the Saloon of Killeen. Big blind is $16.
Fold.
I raise.
Fold.
I fold.
I fold.
Fold.
I fold.
The flop. Turn.
I raise.
The river.
Raise. Sorry, but I won. I fold.
Fold.
The gentleman calls.
I aim with the
Raise.
I
fold.
fold.
I fold.
I fold.
I fold.
The gentleman wins $350.
I fold.
Wow. I raise.
Fold.
I raise.
I fold.
The gentleman wins $982. The big blind is raised to $20.
I fold.
The gentleman calls. All in with $8. The gentleman calls. The gentleman calls. The gentleman calls. The flop.
Check. I fold.
Check.
Raise.
I fold.
The river.
I raise.
Look out for me.
The gentleman calls.
I fold.
Fold.
I raise.
Raise.
Fold.
The miss calls. Flop.
I check.
Fold.
Fold.
I fold.
The gentleman wins $445.
I fold.
Fold.
Wow, I'm Raise. shaking. I fold.
All in with
40.
the flop.
Check. Raise.
I fold.
The river.
I check.
This player is out of money. Player has left the table.
Fold.
That's a lot to
I
bet.
fold.
The gentleman calls. The gentleman calls.
I raise. Hey, I'm doing pretty well.
The big blind is raised to $30. The lady calls. The gentleman calls. The gentleman calls. The miss calls. The gentleman calls.
Raise.
I fold.
I fold.
The gentleman calls. The flop.
Check. I fold.
I fold.
I raise. I knew I was good.
Player has left the table.
I fold.
I fold.
I check.
The flop.
Fold.
Turn.
I fold.
The gentleman wins $374. The madam calls.
Look out for me.
I fold.
Turn.
Check.
The lady calls.
Man, I'm good.
The big blind is raised to $50.
That's it. Them chips is mine.
I fold.
I fold.
I fold.
Fold.
I raise.
I fold.
I fold.
The flop. Turn. Player checks.
Check.
The gentleman wins $720.
Wow, I'm shaking.
Fold.
Fold. I fold.
I raise you.
Look out for me.
All in $206.
I fold.
Oh, man, I'm doing good.
The big blind is raised to $100.
I fold.
Fold.
I fold.
The gentleman calls. The gentleman calls.
I fold.
Raise.
Flop. This player is out of money. Has left the table.
I fold.
The gentleman calls.
I fold.
I raise.
I raise.
The gentleman calls.
I check.
All in $413.
I knew I was good.
Fold.
That's a lot to bet.
Check. I check.
Raise.
I fold.
I fold.
The river. The gentleman wins $1,310. The gentleman calls. The gentleman calls. The gentleman calls.
I check. I check.
Raise.
I fold.
I fold.
I got you.
The gentleman wins $1,346. The big blind is raised to $150.
Fold.
The gentleman wins $1,347. The gentleman calls.
Check.
The gentleman calls. Turn.
I check.
River.
Raise. Well, I knew I was good.
The gentleman calls.
Raise.
Fold.
The gentleman calls. Flop. The gentleman calls. Turn. River. All in with $2,849. The gentleman wins $4,246. The gentleman calls. The gentleman calls.
I raise.
Fold.
I'm doing pretty well.
The big blind is raised to $200. The madam calls.
Look out for me.
The gentleman wins $3,851. This player is out of money. Has left the table.
Wow.
I'm
I
shaking.
raised. Well, I knew I was good. Well, I knew I was good.
The big blind is raised to $400. All in with $4,251. The total pot is $5,002. The gentleman wins $5,042. Big blind is $50. The gentleman calls.
Fold.
I fold.
The lady calls.
Fold.
The flop.
I check.
The lady calls. The madam wins $1,445.
Wow, I am shaking.
I fold.
The miss calls. The flop.
I check. Check. I check. Oh, fold. I check.
All in $205. The miss wins $1,164. Big blind is $50. The gentleman calls.
I fold.
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 The gentleman wins $581. The gentleman calls.
Fold.
Fold.
The miss calls. Player checks. The flop.
I check.
The gentleman calls. Turn.
Check.
Player checks.
I check.
Player checks.
I got you.
Fold.
That's a lot to bet.
The gentleman calls. The flop.
Fold.
Turn.
I raise. That's it. Those chips are mine.
The gentleman calls.
Fold.
The gentleman calls.
Ah.
I raise.
Fold.
The gentleman calls.
I raise. Look at me.
The lady calls. The gentleman calls.
I fold.
Fold.
I fold.
The gentleman wins $225. The gentleman calls.
Raise.
I fold.
The gentleman calls. Turn.
Check.
The gentleman calls.
Those chips are mine. Fold.
I fold.
I raise.
Fold.
The flop. Turn. The gentleman calls.
river.
Check. Those chips are mine.
Fold.
I raise.
All in $50. Flop.
Check. Check.
Check.
I check. Check.
I check.
I raise.
Fold.
I fold.
The gentleman wins $814. Big blind is $50. The flop.
I check. I raise. I fold.
Turn.
I check.
Check.
Look out for me.
The gentleman wins $515.
I raise.
Fold.
The flop. The gentleman calls. Turn.
Check.
The river. The gentleman calls.
Look out for me.
Fold. Oh, that's a lot to bet. Fold.
The gentleman calls. The gentleman calls. Player checks.
I got you.
The gentleman wins $200. The madam calls.
Fold.
Raise.
I fold.
The gentleman calls. The flop.
I raise.
I fold.
Turn.
Those chips are mine.
Welcome to the Saloon of Killeen. Big blind is $16.
I raise.
The gentleman calls.
Fold.
The gentleman wins $994.
I fold.
The gentleman calls. The gentleman calls.
Oh, fold. I check.
Flop.
Wow, I'm shaking.
Raise.
Fold.
The gentleman calls. Turn.
Check.
Raise, please.
The gentleman calls. The river.
Raise. Look out for me.
Player has left the table. A new player has joined the table. The gentleman calls.
Oh, goodness. I'm shaking. Fold.
Hold, I fold.
Sorry, I won.
The gentleman wins $580. The big blind is raised to $20.
Fold, I fold.
Oh, fold.
I fold. I raise.
Fold.
Flop.
I raise.
The gentleman calls. River.
Hey, I'm doing pretty well.
Big blind is $50.
Those chips are mine.
Fold.
I fold.
Player checks. Flop.
Check.
Fold.
Fold.
The gentleman wins $200. The gentleman calls.
Fold.
The miss call. Turn. Player checks. All in with $920. The gentleman wins $2,430.
Fold.
Flop.
I check.
All in with $130. The gentleman wins $355. The gentleman calls.
Check.
The river.
I check.
I fold.
The gentleman wins $250.
I fold.
The miss calls. Player checks.
I fold.
Raise. Give me the chips.
Fold.
Raise.
The lady calls. Flop. Turn.
I
check.
Player checks.
I knew I was good.
The gentleman calls. Turn.
I
Raise.
check.
All in with $205.
I win!